I want to go virtually. Where do you point them? How do you help them choose a good market where they can have that immediate success like you did?
Yeah, it's funny because like I feel like in-person wholesaling is 100% work ethic. I feel like virtual wholesaling is like 80% strategy because um it's not even just the city you choose, but it's the areas within the city you choose because locally you know what is the trenches and where to not even go. But you don't really know that when you're doing a virtual market. For example, when I started in Cleveland, I kept getting deals under contract in areas that nobody would buy. Like it doesn't matter if I got it for $1,500, nobody was going to buy it. So it was a tough learning process. And with Cleveland, I learned how to figure that out before pulling those terrible lists. So I learned a lot just going into Cleveland and learning the hard way. But now that I enter different markets, I pretty much get a new virtual market if I've pulled all of the absentee data. I don't do too much owner occupied just because I found it way harder to get people out of their house unless it's senior owners. That's the only like owner occupied lists I get. But it's about studying the market before you pull the list, learning what zip codes are hot that investor buyers are buying in, and then talking to people in that market to figure out why those areas. So I will literally pull a hot zip code list, find someone in that market on a Facebook group. Now I can, put a story on my Instagram, but in the beginning, I was going into Facebook groups and finding people in a real estate investor Facebook group like, I'm looking for deals in this market. Can someone please help me? I've been talking to some sellers. I just need to have a conversation. And then what do is I have the conversation with that person and I go through every single hot zip code and I ask them about that area. And then when we're done going through the hot zip codes, I ask them, what areas do you see that are up and coming? What areas do you think that people want to live in, people want to buy properties in? And then I get new areas that may not be hot zip codes, but may also be good areas. And then it's really analyzing the market. Like, how many cash buyers is there even? Because my hometown, Fresno, California, there's a good population, but there's only 7,000 cash buyers. So it's like, I can probably do some deals there,
Mm,
but it's not a huge investor market. So it's important to pick a market that is a big
yeah.
investor market. You won't run out of deals, you won't run out of buyers, and you won't run out of people to help you, which is the most important thing. You're always going to need a guide to help you get to the next step.
Yeah, I love that. At this point, are you using are any special tools? Because I know there's a lot of software tools that are out there that hey, you can get your buyers list from here, and hey, you can pull all this data, hot zips, and all this stuff. Or are you kind of doing it, your own way by kind of like pulling from list source data or something like that? Are you using a
I
certain tool
do.
for studying markets?
Well, for studying, it's so funny, but for studying markets, I use, List Source is where I pull the hot zip codes and it's free. So I have like a free List Source account. And I have a YouTube video on how I do
Nice.
that, but I pull the hot zip codes from List Source. Then I learn about the market in YouTube videos because there's so many real estate agents that will make these YouTube videos about a city because there's those relocation agents. So those relocation agents make hella videos about
Mm,
every so there's like, let's say Philly, for example, the top neighborhoods in Philly. If you're moving to Philly where you want to live, neighborhoods to avoid in Philly, the worst neighborhoods in Philly. There's going to be videos and I watch all of them. Like if I'm going to enter a new market, I'm going to put some time into it. I'm going to sit there all night and watch every single video any agent has made about the city. And then I'm going to use the hot zip codes list. When I make my hot zip codes list, I'm writing what neighborhood it is. So like 44102, that's west side. This is Parma. This is West Park. I'm writing what the neighborhoods are. That way when I'm researching and people are talking about those neighborhoods, I'm not like a total noob. I know what zip code it matches up with and I can really so if I was able to screen share, I could show you my notes on my computer and I literally have like a note for Philly. And in Philly it's like Strawberry Mansion is this 19132 Strawberry Mansion, 19121 Brewery Town, 19140 Nice Town, and notes with each one. Same thing for Jacksonville. Same thing for Atlanta surrounding areas. So I'm studying these markets. I have one for Detroit. I'm studying these markets. Ideally, I'm talking to somebody who flips houses. That's the best person to talk to about this stuff. And then I'm gathering all that information so I can not sound like a noob when I'm talking to sellers. That's important. And also pull the right list so that when I do get a deal, I can sell it. Because I've pulled a lot of lists that I couldn't sell. And that's where I got this whole strategy from. It's like, okay, put the work in up front so that you don't have to have those growing pains of learning about the city in the back end. Learn about the city first. And then um, when I pull the list and when we are talking to sellers, and I have to train my team to do this too. But when we are talking to sellers, we sound knowledgeable. We got the lists in the right areas. We sound like we have a local presence, and then most importantly, we're able to sell those deals. And ideally, if we talk to flippers about this, we have someone to run some deals by once we get some under contract.
Love it. Love it. That's some good gems, especially about YouTube, using YouTube to actually find out from other agents and people that are talking about that local market. I really like that. At this point, how many markets do you like to keep going at any one time? Do you kind of go market to market? What does that look like from you kind of in totality?
So right now we're really trying to go deeper into specific markets. So Jacksonville, Georgia. I'm always going to be doing Cleveland just because that's where I started and that's where a lot of my network is. And then with Instagram and with the people needing help and needing JV help, it ends up really being nationwide, which is hard sometimes. But I figured out some ways to like mitigate the time wasted trying to do JV deals in areas that there's not going to be a lot of buyers. So we're really doing deals nationwide. If I told you all the deals we did this year, they're literally all over the place. Georgia, Florida, Texas,
Yeah.
Richmond, Virginia, DMV, like Baltimore, St. Louis. So it's like, okay, we're everywhere, but we really want to be more focused because it's easier to train a team on one or two markets than, hey, close this lead, it's
Yeah.
here. Like,
Right, right, right. Very good. And I was gonna ask you, but I think I know the answer. Like, do you feel that the nationwide strategy is better than someone going local? Like what are you advising? Are you telling most of your students and followers like, hey, continue going the virtual route? Like, what if they're in one of those markets? Somebody say you find somebody that's in Jacksonville. Would you say, hey, look, I would suggest that you still go virtual, or would you tell that person to work in their own local area because they're already in a good market?
that's a really good question. So, virtual to me is how you do the business. It's not necessarily the market you're in. So, you can be virtual in your own backyard. Just don't go drive for dollars. Just don't go put up bandit signs. Just don't go door knocking. Just go to the RIA meetings, meet the buyers because that's going to be way better way to get buyers. So that's how I coach my people in my community. I don't advise them if they live in North Carolina or Georgia or Florida. I'm like, hey, you're in a great market, utilize the strategies that I teach to build your softwares and systems and build your business, but go to RIAs and meet buyers there because having a personal connection, there's nothing like that. So it's kind of like a mix, but there's no reason to be doing seller outreach like physically because it's the time spent doesn't make sense. And I definitely advise my everyone in my community to only pick one market because when I started, I picked Cleveland and I went really, really deep in Cleveland. I did a lot of deals. I did 37 deals or so in Cleveland my first year, plus JV deals. So I would say that it's important to like, I only pick a new market when I feel like, oh my God, I have all of, if there's 180,000 absentee records, and I have like 250,000 records from Cleveland, like I will add another market, but I'm still making sure I'm still in my other market. It's not like I just abandon it
Got it.
because we still have follow ups. We still have a lot of stuff going on there, but I'll just add some data from a different market. And I don't even think that's really necessary because there's people making millions of dollars a year in one or two markets. So I wouldn't even say it's necessary. It's just what I do because when you are virtual, um, it's a little bit easier to just get the lowest hanging fruit and to
Right.
keep because there's an amount of leads that you're going to get. Let's say you have a list of 50,000. There's those leads that you're going to get the first week, and then there's the leads you're not going to get for 6 months to a year, no matter what you do. So it's like, okay, we
Right.
still need to be getting those leads that'll close in the first week, and they may just not be in that market that we've been in. But even in these whole 3 years, I've only done Cleveland, like actually choosing markets. I've only done Cleveland, St. Louis, and Baltimore. So it's not like I've had a ton of markets. Everything else has just come from JVs and other people.
That's all for this episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show with Brandon Barnes. But we know you're craving more knowledge to get yourself ready for that next deal. To schedule a call with Brandon to learn more about how to do deals consistently without seller appointments in a repeatable way, be sure to visit us at sendmoreoffers.com. And be sure to tune in for the next episode of the Send More Offers Real Estate Show.